And there's just no way that inflation's going down when you get something like that combined with deficit spending that's just absolutely insane. And so I think, massive deficit spending, every economic model says inflation, GDP growth really high, it's inflationary. So yeah, I think that the Fed is going to have to hike.
Are you ready to ride the wave of financial insight? Today, we're tackling a burning question. Are we about to face another inflation wave? Welcome to Finance Noon Channel. As we delve into the concerns of the former chairman of the Council of Economic Advisors, Kevin Hassett, dissect the inflationary forces at play. Get ready for a deep dive into the economic seas. Let's get started. According to Yahoo Finance, another wave of high prices could be coming for the U.S. economy, thanks to factors like hefty government spending and high energy costs, according to one former White House economist. That's precisely what we're currently experiencing in this intricate economic landscape, with inflation taking center stage. Inflation, in essence, denotes the gradual rise in the costs of goods and services over time. This phenomenon isn't novel, it's integral to the economic cycle. However, the concern raised here revolves around the fiscal aspects of government policies and expenditures and how they interact with the Federal Reserve's actions. The transition from pandemic relief to substantial investments in infrastructure and green initiatives is under scrutiny. The term Keynesian is invoked, indicating a perceived approach similar to Keynesian economics. The core apprehension centers on whether the current fiscal trajectory is based on sound economic principles or if it represents an underlying economic foundation. Using humorous terms like the IRA inflates highlights these fiscal decisions' complexity and potential consequences. Ultimately, the concern is about the fiscal policies driving the economy and whether they are well-founded or could lead to unintended consequences. It prompts a critical examination of the government's role in shaping economic conditions. Let's hear Kevin Hassett talk about this.
Yeah, and there's like a simple way to think about it, which is just that if you look at like what nominal GDP is, and so if they spend, an extra 5% of GDP, which is about what they're doing, then nominal GDP goes up by 5%. And if you don't have the supply to match that, then you get inflation. And so the numbers actually make quite a bit of sense right now. I think that inflation is hanging out in the 5% range, and it's doing so precisely because the sort of traditional models of inflation.
Kevin Hassett's explanation here offers a straightforward perspective on the relationship between government spending and inflation. His analogy simplifies a complex economic concept by equating an increase in government spending to a rise in nominal GDP, which can lead to inflation if supply doesn't keep pace. Hassett's point about the current inflation rate aligning with the increase in government spending makes sense within this framework. It provides a clear link between fiscal policies and inflation trends. This insight is a valuable reminder of the real-world implications of government actions on economic conditions. It prompts you to consider the potential consequences of fiscal decisions and their impact on inflation rates, an essential aspect of economic stability. Kevin Hassett raises some critical questions about the state of the economy and the potential for another inflation wave. His discussion about the Federal Reserve's actions and interest rates is essential for all of you to understand, as it directly affects our financial well-being. This seems reasonable to me because most predictions tend to be incorrect, so everyone's considering an additional 25 or 50 basis points in interest rates. However, you might see a different scenario if their predictions are off. Interest rates could either remain where they are or even decrease. On the flip side, if the economy continues to perform strongly, the central bank may need to raise rates much higher than you currently anticipate. It's essential to note that a recession isn't off the table. It's unlikely to occur this year or early next year. Instead, the central bank will likely keep increasing rates until a recession eventually materializes, which might happen late next year or the year after.
We're going to see kind of a sawtooth inflation cycle. It's going to be kind of like the COVID waves where it feels like COVID's under control and then there's a new variety. And right now, I think that we're seeing, we're going to see another inflation wave that's going to be stimulated both by high growth and by higher energy prices.
Kevin Hassett brings up an essential point. A recession doesn't necessarily signal the end of inflation. To understand this better, let's look back at the 1970s. Inflation surged to 7 or 8% in that era, and then a recession hit. However, here's the crucial part. After the recession, inflation didn't vanish. It reared its head once more. This scenario is even more challenging because inflation eases during a recession but can resurge afterward. Kevin mentions that we're likely in for a sawtooth inflation cycle, much like the waves of the COVID pandemic. When you think the situation is under control, a new variant surfaces. Understanding this sawtooth pattern means preparing for potential inflationary spikes and their implications for personal finances and investments. Similarly, in today's economic landscape, we're experiencing what appears to be a temporary drop in inflation. But Kevin's insight suggests that another wave of inflation might be on the horizon. What fuels this upcoming wave? It's a combination of robust economic growth and higher energy prices. Kevin's observation serves as a vital reminder that inflation can be unpredictable and persistent, even in the face of economic downturns. As you've just observed and absorbed Hassett's insights regarding the Fed funds rate, it becomes abundantly clear that the choices made by central banks hold substantial sway over our financial circumstances. The Fed funds rate, the key determinant of borrowing costs, is a pivotal tool in the Federal Reserve's arsenal to shake the economic landscape. When Hassett alludes to the possibility of a recession to manage inflation, he's essentially suggesting that interest rates could see an upward trajectory. For investors, this raises concerns about how high these rates could go. Every uptick in interest rates can have a cascading effect on various aspects of our financial lives. Higher rates mean increased costs for borrowing money, impacting mortgages, car loans, and credit card debt. On the other hand, savers might rejoice at the prospect of higher returns on their savings accounts, but the increased borrowing costs often outweigh these benefits. Hassett also sheds light on the role of fiscal policies, particularly in the context of government spending on infrastructure and green initiatives. The Biden administration's expansive fiscal agenda, including substantial investments in infrastructure and green technologies, has the potential to reshape our economy. It's not just about dollars and cents. It's about the reallocation of resources, job creation, and the long-term trajectory of economic growth. When considering government spending, you must also consider its implications for inflation. An injection of funds into the economy, especially when coupled with supply chain constraints, can stoke the fires of inflation. This, in turn, affects the prices we pay for goods and services, eroding our purchasing power. During rising inflation, consumers experience increased costs for everyday items, from groceries to gasoline. Investors face uncertainty in financial markets, as the value of their investments can erode rapidly. This prompts concerns about protecting one's portfolio from the erosive effects of inflation. When inflation eventually recedes, it provides a temporary sigh of relief. However, Hassett's scenario suggests that this respite may be short-lived. Such uncertainty can make financial planning and decision-making a challenging endeavor. In conclusion, conduct some research, as it is crucial to navigate the current economic terrain with vigilance and adaptability. Kevin Hassett's perspectives highlight the intricacies of our economic landscape. The world of finance and economics is no longer confined to the realm of experts and policymakers. It directly affects everyone. Whether you're an investor looking to safeguard your portfolio, a homeowner watching mortgage rates, or a consumer grappling with rising prices, the economic landscape profoundly impacts your financial well-being. Staying informed about monetary policies, fiscal decisions, and their ramifications is not a luxury, it's a necessity. The choices made by central banks and governments resonate throughout our lives, influencing our ability to save, invest, and plan for the future. As we navigate this ever-evolving economic terrain, we must remain vigilant, adaptable, and informed. The insights provided by experts like Kevin Hassett, serve as valuable signposts on this journey. By understanding the intricacies of interest rates, fiscal policies, and the potential for inflationary waves, we empower ourselves to make more informed financial decisions and secure our futures in an uncertain world. What do you think about this topic? Let me know in the comments section below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Finance Soon channel. I'll see you in the next video.